So glad to have you here. Follow this story all the way through, and comment below with where you're watching from. My name is Victoria Bennett. I'm 38 years old. I'm the founder and CEO of Bennett Capital Partners, a private equity firm in Chicago. I manage over $200 million in assets. I employ 50 people. I have a reputation for being tough, fair, and the kind of person who never forgets a slight. 20 years ago, I was an 18-year-old girl sitting in a lawyer's office in a small town in Indiana, watching my grandfather rewrite his will. He was a wealthy man. He owned farmland, commercial real estate, a portfolio of stocks that had made him a millionaire 3 times over. He had 2 grandchildren, me, and my cousin, Daniel. Daniel was 3 years older. Daniel was a boy. Daniel was the one who mattered. My grandfather, Harold Bennett, was a man of few words. He was born in 1930, raised during the Depression, built his fortune with his own hands. He believed in hard work, in loyalty, in family. He also believed that women belonged in the home, that girls didn't need educations, that the family legacy should pass to the men who would carry the name forward. I was 15 when I first heard him say it. We were at Thanksgiving dinner. My cousin Daniel was talking about the college applications he was working on, the business degree he wanted to pursue, the plans he had to take over the family business someday. My grandfather nodded. He smiled. He looked at Daniel with pride I had never seen in his eyes when he looked at me. "And what about Victoria?" my mother asked. "She's been talking about college too. She wants to study finance." My grandfather looked at me. His face was hard. His eyes were cold. "Girls don't need college," he said. "They need to find a husband who can take care of them. That's where their future lies." I was 15. I didn't know how to argue. I didn't know how to tell him that I wanted more than a husband. I didn't know how to tell him that I wanted to build something of my own. I didn't know how to tell him that I was smarter than Daniel, more ambitious than Daniel, more capable than Daniel. I didn't know how to tell him that I was going to be someone. I sat at the table. I ate my dinner. I didn't say anything. The lawyer's office was in a brick building on Main Street. The windows were frosted with the names of the partners who had practiced there for decades. The furniture was dark wood. The carpet was beige. The air smelled like old paper and dust. My grandfather sat at the head of the table. His lawyer, a man named Mr. Henderson who had known him for 40 years, sat beside him. My mother sat on one side of me. My aunt, Daniel's mother, sat on the other side. Daniel wasn't there. He didn't need to be. He already knew what the will said. Mr. Henderson read the document aloud. The language was formal, legal, impenetrable. But I understood enough. The farm. The real estate. The stocks. The cash. Everything went to Daniel. Everything. "And what about Victoria?" my mother asked. Her voice was tight. She was trying to stay calm, trying to be polite, trying to hold back the anger I could see in her eyes. Mr. Henderson looked at my grandfather. My grandfather looked at me. "She's just a girl," he said. "She'll get married. Her husband will take care of her. Daniel is the one who will carry on the family name. Daniel is the one who deserves the inheritance." I sat in my chair. I looked at my grandfather. I looked at the man who had taught me to fish, who had taken me on tractor rides, who had told me stories about his childhood on the farm. I looked at the man who had watched me grow up, who had seen me win awards at school, who had heard me talk about my dreams. "She's just a girl," he said again. As if saying it twice made it true. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't argue. I sat in my chair. I looked at my grandfather. I looked at the lawyer. I looked at my mother, whose face was pale, whose hands were shaking. "I'll remember this," I said. My voice was quiet. It was steady. It was the voice of someone who had just decided something. My grandfather looked at me. His face didn't change. "Remember whatever you want," he said. "It won't change anything." I stood up. I walked out of the office. I didn't look back. That was the last time I saw my grandfather for 15 years. I went to college. I studied finance. I graduated at the top of my class. I got a job at an investment bank in Chicago. I worked 80-hour weeks. I learned the business from the ground up. I made money. I saved money. I waited. I didn't go home for holidays. I didn't call. I didn't write. My mother came to visit me. She told me about my grandfather. He was getting older. He was slowing down. Daniel had taken over the family business. He was running it into the ground. "Daniel doesn't know what he's doing," my mother said. "He's making bad investments. He's selling off land to pay his debts. Your grandfather is worried. He won't say it, but I can see it in his face." I didn't say anything. I didn't feel sorry for my grandfather. I didn't feel sorry for Daniel. They had made their choices. They had decided that I didn't matter. They had decided that being a girl meant I wasn't worthy of the family legacy. I was building my own legacy. I didn't need theirs. I started my own firm when I was 30. Bennett Capital Partners. I raised money from investors who believed in me. I made smart investments. I grew my portfolio. I became someone. I became the person I had always known I could be. I didn't think about my grandfather. I didn't think about the will. I didn't think about the day I sat in the lawyer's office and was told that I didn't matter. I was building something that was mine. Something that no one could take away. But sometimes, late at night, when the city was quiet and the office was empty, I would think about the girl who had sat in that chair. The girl who had been told she was just a girl. The girl who had walked out of that office and decided that she would prove him wrong. I had proved him wrong. I had become someone. I had built something. I had shown him that being a girl didn't mean being nothing. And I had done it without him. Without his money. Without his approval. Without his love. The call came on a Tuesday. I was in my office, reviewing a term sheet for a new investment. My phone rang. The caller ID said Indiana. I almost didn't answer. I hadn't answered an Indiana number in 15 years. "Hello? Victoria?" It was my mother. Her voice was strange. Different. The way voices sound when something has happened, when something has changed. "Mom? What's wrong?" "It's your grandfather. He's sick. He's very sick. The doctors say he needs surgery. A heart bypass. Without it, he won't make it another 6 months." I was quiet. I didn't know what to say. "He can't afford the surgery," my mother said. "Daniel lost everything. The farm. The real estate. The stocks. It's all gone. Your grandfather has nothing left. He's living in a small apartment. He's on Social Security. He can't pay for the surgery himself." I sat at my desk. I looked at the window. The city was bright with sun. The buildings were tall. The sky was blue. "He wants to see you," my mother said. "He wants to ask you something. He's too proud to say it over the phone. He wants to ask you in person." "What does he want to ask me?" My mother was quiet for a moment. I heard her breathing. I heard her trying to find words. "He wants to ask you for money," she said. "For the surgery. He knows you have it. He knows you built something. He knows," she stopped. "He knows he was wrong, Victoria. He knows what he did. He just can't say it. He can't admit it. But he knows." I sat at my desk. I looked at the window. I thought about the girl who had sat in the lawyer's office. The girl who had been told she was just a girl. The girl who had walked out and never looked back. "I'll think about it," I said. "I'll call you back." I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about my grandfather. Thinking about the will. Thinking about the words that had sent me out of his life. "She's just a girl." I thought about the years I had spent proving him wrong. The years of working, saving, building. The years of becoming someone. The years of showing him that being a girl didn't mean being nothing. I thought about the man he was. The man who had taught me to fish. The man who had taken me on tractor rides. The man who had told me stories about his childhood on the farm. The man who had watched me grow up, who had seen me win awards at school, who had heard me talk about my dreams. I thought about the man he had become. The man who was living in a small apartment, who had nothing left, who was dying. The man who wanted to see me. The man who wanted to ask me for money. I thought about what I would say to him. What I would ask him. What I would decide. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know if I was going to help him. I didn't know if I was going to let him die. I didn't know if I was being kind or cruel, generous or vengeful. But I knew one thing. I was not the girl who had sat in that lawyer's office. I was not the girl who had been told she was nothing. I was not the girl who had walked out and never looked back. I was someone else. Someone stronger. Someone who had built something from nothing. Someone who held the keys to her grandfather's future in her hands. And I had to decide what kind of person I wanted to be. Here's where I need to pause. Because what happened next, the drive to Indiana, the conversation I never thought I would have, the moment I looked my grandfather in the eyes for the first time in 15 years, that's the part of this story that changed everything. That's the part that taught me what it really means to be family. If you've ever been told you weren't enough, type enough in the comments. And tell me where you're watching from. I want to know who else has been where I was. I drove to Indiana on a Thursday. The highway stretched out in front of me, flat and endless, the kind of road that makes you feel like you're driving into the past. The cornfields were gold with late summer. The sky was wide and blue. The towns I passed were small and familiar, names I hadn't thought about in years, places I had left behind. I thought about the last time I had driven this road. I was 18. I was driving away from the lawyer's office, away from my grandfather, away from the family that had decided I didn't matter. I had a suitcase in the back seat and a scholarship letter in my bag and a future that was mine. I didn't look back. I didn't cry. I just drove. Now I was driving back. 15 years later. 15 years of building something. 15 years of becoming someone. 15 years of proving that I was more than just a girl. I didn't know what I was going to say. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know if I was going to help him or let him die. I didn't know if I was being generous or foolish, kind or vengeful. But I knew that I needed to see him. I needed to look him in the eyes. I needed to hear him say the words I had been waiting 15 years to hear. The apartment was in a small building on the edge of town. It was the kind of place that had been built in the 1970s and hadn't been updated since. The siding was faded. The parking lot was cracked. The front door stuck when I pushed it open. I walked up the stairs to the second floor. The hallway smelled like cigarette smoke and old cooking. The carpet was worn thin. The lights were dim. I stopped outside apartment 2B. I looked at the door. It was brown. The paint was peeling. The numbers were tarnished. I raised my hand to knock. I hesitated. I thought about the last time I had seen him. The lawyer's office. The will. The words. She's just a girl. I knocked. The door opened. My grandfather stood in the doorway. He was older. His hair was white. His face was lined. He was thin, too thin, the kind of thin that comes from illness, from poverty, from a life that had fallen apart. He was wearing a flannel shirt that was too big for him, pants that were loose at the waist. He looked like someone who had been carrying something heavy for a very long time. He looked at me. His eyes were the same. Blue. Sharp. The eyes of a man who had seen too much to be surprised by anything. "Victoria," he said. His voice was weak. A whisper. "You came. You asked me to." He nodded. He stepped aside. He held the door open. "Come in," he said. "Come in." The apartment was small. One bedroom. One bathroom. A living room with a couch and a television. A kitchen with a table and 2 chairs. The walls were bare. The windows were dirty. The air smelled like dust and medicine. My grandfather sat down on the couch. He looked tired. His hands were shaking. He motioned for me to sit in the chair across from him. I sat down. I looked at him. He looked at me. The silence stretched between us, long and heavy. "You look like your grandmother," he said. She had the same eyes. The same stubborn chin. The same way of looking at people like she could see right through them. I didn't say anything. I waited. "I'm dying," he said. "The doctors say I need surgery. A heart bypass. Without it, I won't make it another 6 months. Maybe less. I know. My mother told me." He nodded. He looked at his hands. They were shaking. "I can't afford the surgery," he said. "Daniel lost everything. The farm. The real estate. The stocks. It's all gone. I have nothing left. Just this apartment. Just my social security. Just the memories of what I used to have." I looked at him. I looked at the man who had been so wealthy, so powerful, so sure of himself. I looked at the man who had sat at the head of the table in the lawyer's office and told me I didn't matter. I looked at the man who was now sitting on a worn-out couch in a rundown apartment, asking me for help. "You want me to pay for the surgery," I said. He looked at me. His eyes were wet. His face was the face of someone who had been carrying something for a very long time. "I want to ask you to pay for the surgery," he said. "I know I don't have the right to ask. I know I don't deserve anything from you. But I'm asking anyway. I'm asking because I don't have anyone else. I'm asking because I'm scared. I'm asking because I don't want to die." I sat in the chair. I looked at him. I thought about the girl who had sat in the lawyer's office. The girl who had been told she was just a girl. The girl who had walked out and never looked back. "Why should I help you?" I asked. "Why should I give you anything? You had everything. You gave it all to Daniel. You gave it to him because he was a boy. Because he was going to carry on the family name. Because I was just a girl." He flinched. I saw it. A small movement, like I had hit him. "I know," he said. "I know what I did. I know I was wrong. I know I hurt you. I know I took something from you that I couldn't give back. I know all of it." "Then why did you do it?" He was quiet for a long time. The clock ticked. The traffic on the street below was faint, distant. "Because I was a fool," he said. "Because I was raised by a man who was raised by a man who believed that women were meant to be wives and mothers, not businesswomen and leaders. Because I never questioned what I was taught. Because I never thought about who you were. Because I never saw you. I saw a girl. I didn't see Victoria. I didn't see the person you were becoming. I didn't see the person you are." He stopped. He put his head in his hands. His shoulders shook. "I was wrong," he said. "I was wrong about everything. I was wrong about you. I was wrong about Daniel. I was wrong about what matters. And I have spent 15 years watching you become someone. Watching you build something. Watching you prove that I was wrong." He looked up. His face was wet. His eyes were red. I'm proud of you, he said. I know I don't have the right to say that. I know I don't deserve to feel anything about you. But I'm proud of you. I'm proud of who you became. I'm proud of the person you are. I'm proud that you survived me. I sat in the chair. I looked at him. I looked at this man who had broken me. I looked at this man who was dying. I looked at this man who was asking me for something I had spent 15 years believing I would never give him. I didn't come here to hear you say you're proud of me, I said. I didn't come here to make you feel better. I came here because I needed to see you. I needed to see the person who told me I was nothing. I needed to see that you were real. I needed to see that you were just a man. A broken man. He nodded. He didn't say anything. I spent 15 years thinking there was something wrong with me, I said. I spent 15 years wondering what I did. What I said. What I was. I spent 15 years carrying the weight of what you did to me. And now I know. It wasn't me. It was never me. It was you. It was always you. I know, he said. I know. I stood up. I walked to the window. I looked out at the street. The town was quiet. The people were living their lives. Normal people doing normal things. And I was standing in my grandfather's apartment, trying to decide whether to let him live or die. I'll pay for the surgery, I said. He looked at me. His face was confused. His eyes were wide. Why, he asked. Why would you do that? After what I did to you. Because I'm not you, I said. Because I don't let people die when I can save them. Because I don't punish people for being weak. Because I'm not the person who holds on to anger for 15 years and lets it destroy everything. Because I want to be free. He started to cry. He put his face in his hands. His shoulders shook. I don't deserve this, he said. I don't deserve your help. I don't deserve your kindness. I don't deserve anything from you. I know, I said. But you're getting it anyway. Don't make me regret it. I made the arrangements. I called the hospital. I paid the deposit. I arranged for the surgeon, the anesthesiologist, the ICU bed. I told my mother what I had done. She cried. She thanked me. She said she was proud of me. I didn't feel proud. I didn't feel anything. I felt empty. Hollow. The way you feel when you've done something you didn't know if you wanted to do. I drove back to Chicago. The highway stretched out in front of me, flat and endless. The cornfields were gold. The sky was wide. I thought about the girl who had driven this road 15 years ago. The girl who was running away. The girl who had nothing. She was gone. She was not me anymore. I was someone else. Someone who had built something. Someone who had become someone. Someone who could give a second chance without losing herself. Someone who could be kind without being weak. I didn't know if I had done the right thing. I didn't know if I had forgiven him. I didn't know if I ever could. But I knew that I had let go of something. I had let go of the anger. I had let go of the need for revenge. I had let go of the person I was when he broke me. And that, I realized, was more important than forgiveness. That was freedom. The surgery was scheduled for 3 weeks later. I didn't go to Indiana for the procedure. I didn't sit in the waiting room. I didn't hold my mother's hand. I stayed in Chicago. I went to work. I did my job. I lived my life. My mother called me after the surgery. She said it went well. She said the doctors were optimistic. She said my grandfather was asking for me. What does he want? I asked. He wants to see you. He wants to thank you. He wants to, she stopped. He wants to tell you something. Something he should have told you a long time ago. I'll think about it, I said. I'll call you back. I didn't call back. Not right away. I needed time. I needed to think. I needed to decide if I was ready to see him again. I needed to decide if I was ready to hear what he had to say. Weeks passed. I went to work. I saw my clients. I made my investments. I lived my life. But my grandfather was there, in the background, the way things are when they've been part of your life for so long you don't notice them anymore. My mother called again. She said my grandfather was being discharged from the hospital. She said he was going back to his apartment. She said he was weak, but he was recovering. She said he was asking for me again. Victoria, please, she said. He's not going to be around forever. He's an old man. He's been through a lot. He wants to make things right. He wants to tell you that he was wrong. Please. Come see him. I was quiet for a moment. The city was dark outside my window. The lights were on in the buildings across the street. People were living their lives. Normal people doing normal things. I'll come, I said. This weekend. I'll drive down on Saturday. Here's where I need to pause. Because what happened next, the conversation I never thought I would have, the words he finally said, the thing he gave me, that's the part of this story that I didn't see coming. That's the part that taught me what it really means to forgive. If you've ever been given something you thought you would never get, type gift in the comments. Let me know you understand. I drove to Indiana on a Saturday. The highway was the same. The cornfields were gold. The sky was wide. The towns I passed were the same towns I had passed 15 years ago, when I was running away. But I wasn't running now. I was driving towards something. I didn't know what. My mother was waiting for me at my grandfather's apartment. She opened the door before I could knock. She looked older than I remembered. Her hair was gray. Her face was lined. She looked like someone who had been carrying something for a very long time. Victoria, she said. She put her arms around me. She held me tight. Thank you for coming. I hugged her back. I didn't say anything. There was nothing to say. He's in the living room, she said. He's been waiting for you. He's nervous. He's been pacing all morning. I walked to the living room. My grandfather was standing by the window, looking out at the street. He turned when he heard me. His face was pale. His hands were shaking. He looked thinner than he had 3 weeks ago. The surgery had taken something out of him. He was recovering, but he wasn't the same. He was older. He was smaller. He was less. Victoria, he said. You came. You asked me to. He nodded. He walked to the couch. He sat down. He motioned for me to sit in the chair across from him. The same chair I had sat in 3 weeks ago. The same chair where I had told him I would pay for his surgery. I sat down. I looked at him. He looked at me. The silence stretched between us, long and heavy. I owe you an apology, he said. I owe you an apology for a lot of things. I owe you an apology for the will. I owe you an apology for the things I said. I owe you an apology for the years I lost. I owe you an apology for the person I was. I didn't say anything. I waited. I was wrong, he said. I was wrong about you. I was wrong about Daniel. I was wrong about what matters. I was wrong about everything. He stopped. He put his head in his hands. His shoulders shook. I spent my whole life believing that the family legacy belonged to the men. That the women were there to support them, to raise their children, to keep the home. I never questioned it. I never thought about who you were. I never saw you. I saw a girl. I didn't see Victoria. I didn't see the person you were becoming. I didn't see the person you are. He looked up. His face was wet. His eyes were red. I see you now, he said. I see you. I see the woman you've become. I see the things you built. I see the person you are. And I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed that I didn't see it sooner. I'm ashamed that I was so blind. I'm ashamed that I hurt you. I'm ashamed that I pushed you away. He stopped. He wiped his face with the back of his hand. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, he said. I know I don't deserve anything from you. But I want you to know that I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what I did. I'm sorry for what I said. I'm sorry for the years I took from you. I'm sorry for the person I was. I'm sorry for the person I am. I sat in the chair. I looked at him. I looked at this man who had broken me. I looked at this man who was dying. I looked at this man who was asking me for something I had spent 15 years believing I would never give him. You hurt me, I said. You hurt me more than anyone else in my life. You made me feel like I was nothing. You made me feel like I didn't matter. You made me feel like being a girl meant being less. He nodded. He didn't defend himself. He didn't make excuses. He just listened. I spent 15 years proving you wrong, I said. I spent 15 years building something that was mine. I spent 15 years becoming someone you never expected. And I did it without you. I did it despite you. I did it because I was stronger than you thought I was. I did it because I was never the person you said I was. I know, he said. I know. I was quiet for a moment. The clock ticked. The traffic on the street below was faint, distant. I don't know if I can forgive you, I said. I don't know if I ever will. But I want you to know something. I survived. I built a life. I became someone. And that's not because of you. It's despite you. It's because I was stronger than you thought I was. It's because I was never the person you said I was. He nodded. He was crying. I was crying. We sat there, in the small living room of his small apartment, the man who had broken me and the woman who had survived him. I'm proud of you, he said. I know I don't have the right to say that. I know I don't deserve to feel anything about you. But I'm proud of you. I'm proud of who you became. I'm proud of the person you are. I'm proud that you survived me. I looked at him. I looked at this man who had been so powerful, so sure of himself. I looked at this man who was now sitting on a worn-out couch in a rundown apartment, crying, asking for my forgiveness. I don't know if I can give you what you want, I said. I don't know if I can forgive you. But I can listen. I can hear what you have to say. And I can tell you what it was like. What it was like to be 15 years old, sitting in that lawyer's office, being told that I didn't matter. What it was like to walk out that door and never look back. What it was like to spend 15 years proving you wrong. Tell me, he said. Tell me everything. I told him. I told him about the drive away from the lawyer's office. The way the highway stretched out in front of me, endless and empty. The way I didn't look back. The way I didn't cry. I told him about college. About the late nights in the library, the stacks of textbooks, the professors who believed in me. About the scholarships I earned, the awards I won, the people who saw something in me that he never saw. I told him about my first job. About the 80-hour weeks, the bosses who doubted me, the clients who didn't trust me because I was young, because I was a woman, because I didn't look like the people who usually did this work. I told him about starting my own firm. About the fear, the risk, the nights I lay awake wondering if I had made a terrible mistake. About the moment I signed the papers, the moment it became real, the moment I knew that I was building something that was mine. I told him about the success. About the deals I closed, the money I made, the people who worked for me. About the reputation I built, the respect I earned, the life I created. I told him about the anger. About the years I spent carrying it. About the weight of it. About the day I realized that carrying it was hurting me more than it was hurting him. About the day I decided to let it go. He listened. He didn't interrupt. He didn't defend himself. He sat on the couch, his hands in his lap, his face wet with tears, and he listened. When I was done, he was quiet for a long time. The clock ticked. The traffic hummed. The sun moved across the floor. "I don't deserve your forgiveness," he said. "I don't deserve anything from you. But I want you to know that I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what I did. I'm sorry for what I took from you. I'm sorry for the years you lost. I'm sorry for the person I was. I'm sorry for the person I am." I looked at him. I looked at this man who had broken me. I looked at this man who was dying. I looked at this man who was asking me for something I had spent 15 years believing I would never give him. "I don't know if I can forgive you," I said. "I don't know if I will ever be able to forgive you. But I want you to know something. I survived. I built a life. I became someone. And that's not because of you. It's despite you. It's because I was stronger than you thought I was. It's because I was never the person you said I was." He nodded. He wiped his face. He stood up. "I have something for you," he said. "Something I should have given you a long time ago." He walked to the bedroom. He came back with a small box. It was wooden. Old. The kind of box that holds things that matter. He handed it to me. "Open it." I opened the box. Inside was a key. Old. Brass. The kind of key that opens a door that has been closed for a long time. "What is this?" I asked. "It's the key to the farmhouse," he said. "The one my father built. The one where I grew up. The one where your grandmother and I raised your mother. The one I should have given you 15 years ago." I looked at the key. I looked at him. "Daniel sold the farm," I said. "I thought it was gone. He sold the land. He sold the equipment. He sold everything he could sell. But he couldn't sell the house. It's not in his name. It's in mine. It's been in my name since my father died. And I've been waiting. Waiting for the right time. Waiting for the right person." He looked at me. His eyes were wet. His face was the face of someone who had been holding something for a very long time. "I want you to have it," he said. "The house. The land around it. The orchard. The barn. Everything that's left. I want you to have it. I want you to do something with it. Something good. Something that matters. Something that will last." I held the key. It was warm from his hands. It was heavy. It was old. It was everything. "Why?" I asked. "Why now? Why after all these years?" He looked at me. He smiled. A small smile. Tired. But real. "Because you're the one who deserves it," he said. "Because you always were. I was just too blind to see it. Daniel was never the one. He was never going to carry on the family legacy. He was never going to build anything that lasted. He was never going to be the person you are." He put his hand on my shoulder. His hand was thin. His hand was shaking. "You're the one," he said. "You always were." I was just too proud to admit it. Too stubborn. Too blind. Too scared of what it would mean if I admitted that I was wrong. I looked at the key. I looked at the man who had broken me. I looked at the man who was giving me something I had never expected to receive. "I don't know what to say," I said. "You don't have to say anything," he said. "Just take it. Take it and do something with it. Something that matters. Something that will last. Something that will make your grandmother proud." I closed my hand around the key. I held it tight. I looked at my grandfather. At the man who had told me I was nothing. At the man who was giving me everything. "Thank you," I said. "Thank you. I stayed for dinner. My mother cooked. My grandfather sat at the table. He was quiet. He didn't say much. But he watched me. He watched me the way you watch something you're afraid of losing. After dinner, I walked to the door. I put on my coat. I turned to say goodbye. "Victoria," my grandfather said. "Will you come back?" I looked at him. At the man who had broken me. At the man who was giving me everything. At the man who was asking me to come back. "I'll come back," I said. "I'll come back." He nodded. He smiled. It was a small smile. Tired. But real. "Good," he said. "That's good." I walked out. I drove home. The highway was dark. The stars were out. The cornfields were silver in the moonlight. I thought about the key in my pocket. The key to the farmhouse. The key to the house my grandfather had built. The key to the legacy that should have been mine. I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I didn't know if I would keep the house or sell it, restore it or tear it down. I didn't know if I would ever be able to step foot in that place, the place where I had been told I didn't matter, the place where I had been erased. But I knew that the key was mine. It was mine. And that was enough. That was more than enough. Here's where I need to pause. Because what happened next, the months that followed, the changes that came, the thing I finally understood, that's the part of this story that taught me what it really means to be family. If you've ever been given something you thought you had lost forever, type "found" in the comments. Let me know you understand. The farmhouse was finished in the fall. The roof was new. The porch was solid. The windows were clean. The floors gleamed. The kitchen was bright with morning light. The house that had been dying was alive again. It was beautiful. It was more beautiful than it had ever been. I stood in the kitchen, looking out at the fields. The corn was gold. The sky was blue. The world was quiet. I thought about my grandmother. I thought about the woman who had stood in this kitchen, looking out at these same fields, waiting for my grandfather to come home. I thought about the life she had lived. The love she had given. The family she had held together. I thought about my grandfather. The man who had broken me. The man who had given me the key. The man who was trying to be someone else. He was coming to see the finished house today. My mother was driving him. He was weak. He was old. He was dying. But he was coming. He wanted to see what I had done. I walked through the house one more time. The living room was furnished with pieces I had chosen, a comfortable couch, a wooden coffee table, shelves filled with books. The dining room had a table that could seat 12. The bedrooms were simple, peaceful, ready for guests. The house was ready. It was waiting. I heard a car pull into the driveway. I walked to the front door. My mother was helping my grandfather out of the car. He was using a cane. He was moving slowly. But he was here. I walked down the porch steps. I took his arm. I helped him up the stairs. "Careful," I said. "The steps are new. They're a little higher than the old ones." He nodded. He didn't say anything. He was looking at the house. At the porch. At the windows. At the door that I had painted blue, the color my grandmother had always wanted. We walked inside. He stopped in the entryway. He looked at the floors. The walls. The staircase. The light coming through the windows. "Victoria," he said. His voice was quiet. A whisper. "It's beautiful." "Thank you." He walked to the living room. He touched the fireplace. The same fireplace that had been there since his father built the house. The same fireplace where he had sat with my grandmother on cold winter nights. The same fireplace where I had opened presents on Christmas morning. "You kept it," he said. You kept the fireplace. I kept everything that mattered. The bones were good. They just needed to be seen. He walked to the kitchen. He stood at the window. The same window where my grandmother had stood. The same window where I had stood, months ago, looking out at the fields. I remember her standing here, he said. Every morning. She would make coffee. She would stand here and look out at the fields. She would watch the sun come up. She would wait for me to come in from the barn. He was quiet for a moment. His eyes were wet. I didn't appreciate her, he said. I didn't appreciate any of it. I was too busy working. Too busy building. Too busy trying to be someone. I didn't see what I had. I didn't see her. I didn't see you. I didn't see any of it until it was too late. I stood beside him. I looked out at the fields. You see it now, I said. I see it now. But it's too late. She's gone. You're grown. The years are gone. I can't get them back. No, I said. You can't. But you can have this. You can have today. You can have the time you have left. He turned to me. He looked at me. His eyes were red. His face was the face of someone who had been carrying something for a very long time. I don't know how to be a grandfather, he said. I don't know how to be the person you deserve. I don't know how to make up for what I did. You can't make up for it, I said. You can't undo the past. You can't give me back the years you took. But you can be here. You can be present. You can let me know you. The real you. Not the man who sat in the lawyer's office. The man who taught me to fish. The man who took me on tractor rides. The man who told me stories about his childhood. He looked at me. His face was wet. His hands were shaking. That man is still in there, I said. Somewhere. I want to know him. I want to know who you are. Not who you were. Who you are now. He started to cry. He put his arms around me. He held me. I held him. We stood in the kitchen of the farmhouse, the house that should have been mine all along, and we held each other. I'm sorry, he said. I'm so sorry. I know, I said. I know. The months that followed were strange. Not uncomfortable, exactly. Not painful. Just strange. My grandfather came to the farmhouse every week. He would sit on the porch, wrapped in a blanket, looking out at the fields. He would watch the seasons change. The corn harvested. The fields plowed. The snow falling. The spring coming. I would sit with him. We would talk. Not about the past. Not about the will. Not about Daniel. We would talk about the farm. About the crops. About the neighbors. About the things that mattered to a man who had spent his whole life on this land. He told me stories. About his father, who had built the house. About his mother, who had died when he was young. About my grandmother, the woman he had loved for 50 years. About the mistakes he had made. About the things he wished he had done differently. I listened. I didn't judge. I didn't interrupt. I just listened. He asked me about my life. About my work. About my company. About the things I had built. He listened the way I had listened to him. He didn't interrupt. He didn't judge. He just listened. I didn't know, he said one day. We were sitting on the porch. The sun was setting. The sky was orange and pink and purple. I didn't know how hard it was. I didn't know what you had to do to become who you are. You didn't ask. No, he said. I didn't. I was too busy being angry. Too busy being hurt. Too busy feeling sorry for myself. He looked at me. His eyes were clear. His face was calm. But I'm asking now. Tell me. Tell me everything. I told him. About the years of working, saving, building. About the nights I lay awake wondering if I would make it. About the people who doubted me, who told me I couldn't do it, who said I was too young, too inexperienced, too much of a woman to succeed. He listened. He didn't say anything. He just listened. When I was done, he was quiet for a long time. The sun set. The stars came out. The world was dark and quiet. I'm proud of you, he said. I know I don't have the right to say that. I know I don't deserve to feel anything about you. But I'm proud of you. I'm proud of who you became. I'm proud of the person you are. I'm proud that you survived me. I looked at him. I looked at this man who had broken me. I looked at this man who was dying. I looked at this man who was sitting on the porch of the farmhouse, wrapped in a blanket, looking at the stars. I'm proud of you too, I said. He looked at me. His face was confused. Why? What have I done that you could be proud of? You changed, I said. You admitted you were wrong. You apologized. You tried to be someone else. You gave me the key. You let me restore the house. You let me be part of your life. You let me know you. He was quiet. He didn't say anything. But I could see it in his face. The way his eyes softened. The way his breath caught. Thank you, he said. Thank you for giving me a chance. Thank you for letting me be part of your life. Thank you for being the person you are. I put my hand on his. His hand was cold. His hand was thin. His hand was the same hand that had signed the will, that had erased me from the family, that had told me I was nothing. But it was also the hand that had taught me to fish. The hand that had taken me on tractor rides. The hand that was holding mine now. You're welcome, I said. You're welcome. The winter was hard. My grandfather got sick. Pneumonia. His body was weak. The surgery had taken something out of him. He couldn't fight the way he used to fight. He was in the hospital for 2 weeks. I visited every day. I sat by his bed. I held his hand. I read to him. I told him about the farmhouse, about the plans I had for the spring, about the garden I was going to plant. He listened. He smiled. He held my hand. You're a good granddaughter, he said. You're a good person. I don't deserve you. You deserve me, I said. You've always deserved me. I just didn't know it. And neither did you. He smiled. It was a small smile. Tired. But real. I love you, Victoria, he said. I've always loved you. I just didn't know how to show it. I know, I said. I know. He came home from the hospital in February. He was weak. He was thin. He was tired. But he was alive. He was home. He wanted to go to the farmhouse. My mother didn't think it was a good idea. She said he was too weak. She said he needed to rest. She said he should stay in his apartment, where it was warm, where he was safe. But he insisted. He wanted to see the house one more time. He wanted to sit on the porch. He wanted to look out at the fields. I drove him. He was quiet during the drive. He looked out the window at the fields, at the trees, at the town where he had spent his whole life. We pulled into the driveway. The farmhouse was covered in snow. The porch was white. The windows were dark. The house was quiet. I helped him out of the car. I helped him up the steps. I helped him to the porch swing, the one I had restored, the one where he used to sit with my grandmother. He sat down. He looked out at the fields. The snow was deep. The trees were bare. The sky was gray. It's beautiful, he said. Even in the winter. It's beautiful. It is, I said. He was quiet for a long time. The wind blew. The snow drifted. The world was quiet. I'm not going to see the spring, he said. It wasn't a question. I looked at him. His face was calm. His eyes were clear. The doctors say I have a few months. Maybe less. I'm not going to see the corn planted. I'm not going to see the flowers bloom. I'm not going to see the garden you're going to plant. I didn't say anything. There was nothing to say. But I saw this, he said. I saw the house restored. I saw what you did with it. I saw you become someone. I saw you become the person I always knew you could be. He looked at me. His eyes were wet. His face was the face of someone who had been waiting for something for a very long time. That's enough, he said. That's more than enough. I sat beside him on the porch swing. I put my arm around him. He leaned into me. We sat there, in the cold, watching the snow fall, watching the world be quiet. I love you, grandfather, I said. He looked at me. He smiled. It was a real smile. The kind of smile that comes from somewhere deep, somewhere that has been waiting to be seen. I love you too, Victoria, he said. I've always loved you. I just didn't know how to say it. Here's where I need to pause. Because what happened next, the final weeks, the goodbye, the thing he left for me, that's the part of this story that broke me open. That's the part that taught me what it really means to love someone who hurt you. If you've ever had to say goodbye to someone you thought you would never forgive, type goodbye in the comments. Let me know you understand. The spring came slowly that year. The snow melted. The fields turned from white to brown to green. The trees budded. The flowers bloomed. The world came back to life. My grandfather didn't. He grew weaker. He slept more. He ate less. He spent most of his days in the armchair by the window of his apartment, looking out at the street, watching the world go by. I visited every weekend. I would sit with him. I would hold his hand. I would tell him about the farmhouse, about the garden I was planting, about the seeds I had ordered, about the plans I had for the summer. He would listen. He would smile. He would squeeze my hand. You're doing good work, he said one day. You're taking care of the land. You're taking care of the house. You're taking care of the legacy. I'm taking care of what matters, I said. He nodded. He looked at me. His eyes were clear. His face was calm. You matter, he said. You've always mattered. I was just too blind to see it. I leaned over. I kissed his forehead. His skin was thin. His hair was white. He smelled like medicine and old books and the faint sweetness of the cologne he had worn my whole life. I love you, grandfather, I said. I love you too, Victoria, he said. I've always loved you. The call came on a Thursday. I was in my office in Chicago, reviewing a term sheet for a new investment. My phone rang. The caller ID said Indiana. I knew what it meant before I answered. Victoria. My mother's voice was strange. Hollow. The way voices sound when something has ended, when something is gone. He's gone, she said. He passed away this morning. In his sleep. He wasn't in pain. He was peaceful. I sat at my desk. I looked at the window. The city was bright with sun. The buildings were tall. The sky was blue. I'll come down, I said. I'll be there tomorrow. The funeral was small. My grandfather didn't have many friends left. He had outlived most of them. The ones who were still alive were too old to travel. The service was held in the small church where he had been baptized, where he had been married, where he had said goodbye to my grandmother. I sat in the front row. My mother sat beside me. My aunt sat on the other side. Daniel wasn't there. He was in rehab, my mother said. He had lost everything. The money. The business. The respect of everyone who had ever believed in him. He was trying to get clean. He was trying to rebuild. But he wasn't there. He couldn't be. The pastor spoke about my grandfather. About his life. About his work. About the family he had built. About the legacy he was leaving behind. He didn't mention the will. He didn't mention the years of silence. He didn't mention the things my grandfather had done wrong. He spoke about the man he had become at the end. The man who had learned to see. The man who had learned to apologize. The man who had learned to love. After the service, the pastor handed me a box. It was small. Wooden. Old. The same box my grandfather had given me with the key to the farmhouse. He wanted you to have this, the pastor said. He said you would know what it is. I opened the box. Inside was a letter. Handwritten. On paper that was thick and cream-colored. The same paper he had used for the letter he sent me after the surgery. Dear Victoria. If you're reading this, I'm gone. I hope you're not sad. I hope you're at peace. I hope you know that I loved you. I know I didn't show it. I know I was wrong. I know I hurt you. But I loved you. I loved you from the moment you were born. I just didn't know how to show it. I didn't know how to be the grandfather you deserved. Thank you for saving my life. Thank you for paying for the surgery. Thank you for giving me a second chance. Thank you for letting me see the farmhouse restored. Thank you for letting me be part of your life. Thank you for letting me know you. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I know I don't deserve anything from you. But I want you to know that I'm proud of you. I'm proud of who you became. I'm proud of the person you are. I'm proud that you survived me. The farmhouse is yours. It's always been yours. I was just too blind to see it. Do with it what you will. Make it something that will last. Make it something that will make your grandmother proud. There's something else. In the box. Something I should have given you a long time ago. I looked in the box. Under the letter, there was a key. Old. Brass. The same key he had given me months ago. But there was something else. A photograph. Black and white. A woman standing in front of the farmhouse, smiling. My grandmother. On the back, in my grandfather's handwriting, the day we bought the house. She was so proud. She said it would be in the family forever. I almost let her down. But you didn't. You kept her promise. I held the photograph. I looked at my grandmother's face. She was young. She was beautiful. She was smiling the way people smile when they've just gotten something they've wanted for a very long time. I love you, Victoria. I've always loved you. I just didn't know how to say it. Your grandfather. Harold. I read the letter twice. I folded it. I put it back in the box. I looked at the window. The sun was setting. The sky was orange and pink and purple. The church was quiet. The world was quiet. I didn't cry. I didn't feel sad. I felt something else. Something I didn't have a name for. Something that was almost like peace. I drove to the farmhouse that evening. The sun was setting. The fields were gold. The house was quiet. I walked to the porch. I sat on the swing, the same swing where my grandfather had sat with me, looking out at the fields. I held the key in my hand. It was warm from my skin. It was heavy. It was old. It was everything. I thought about my grandmother. The woman who had bought this house with a man who loved her, who had raised her children here, who had watched her grandchildren grow. I thought about the promise she had made. That the house would be in the family forever. I thought about my grandfather. The man who had broken that promise. The man who had tried to give everything to Daniel. The man who had spent 15 years carrying the weight of what he did. The man who had given me the key. The man who had tried to make it right. I thought about the woman I had been. The girl who sat in the lawyer's office, being told she was nothing. The girl who walked out and never looked back. The girl who spent 15 years proving that she was someone. I thought about the woman I had become. The woman who built a company from nothing. The woman who restored a house that should have been hers. The woman who held the key to a legacy that had almost been lost. I didn't know if I had forgiven him. I didn't know if I ever could. But I knew that I had let go. I had let go of the anger. I had let go of the shame. I had let go of the weight I had carried for 15 years. I had let go of the person I was when he broke me. And that, I realized, was more important than forgiveness. That was freedom. I moved into the farmhouse that summer. Not because I had to. Not because I needed to. Because I wanted to. Because the house was mine. Because the land was mine. Because the legacy was mine. I kept my company in Chicago. I commuted. I worked. I built. I grew. But I came home to the farmhouse. I came home to the fields, to the porch, to the kitchen where my grandmother had stood. I came home to the place where I had been told I didn't matter. I came home to the place that was mine. I planted a garden. Flowers, vegetables, herbs. The things my grandmother had planted. The things my grandfather had tended. The things that had been growing on this land for 100 years. I invited my mother to live with me. She said yes. She moved into the room that had been hers when she was a girl. She sat on the porch in the morning, drinking coffee, watching the sun come up. "You've made it beautiful," she said one day. "You've made it more beautiful than it ever was." I had good material to work with, I said. The bones were strong. The foundation was solid. It just needed someone to see what it could be. She looked at me. Her eyes were wet. Her face was the face of someone who had been waiting for something for a very long time. "He was proud of you," she said. At the end. "He was so proud of you. He talked about you all the time. He told everyone about you. About your company. About your success. About the house. About how you brought it back." I looked at the fields. The corn was green. The sky was blue. The world was quiet. "I know," I said. "I know. Here's what I've learned. Forgiveness isn't about the other person. It's about you. It's about letting go of something that was never yours to carry. It's about choosing to be free. It's about building a life that is yours, a life that no one can take away, a life that is enough." My grandfather took something from me. He took my sense of belonging. He took my place in the family. He took the legacy that should have been mine. But I built something new. I built a life that was mine. I built a company that was mine. I built a future that was mine. And when he came to me, broken and dying, I didn't turn him away. I gave him a second chance. I paid for his surgery. I restored the farmhouse. I let him be part of my life. Not because he deserved it, but because I wanted to be the kind of person who gives second chances. Because I wanted to be the kind of person who doesn't let the past decide the future. Because I wanted to be free. I didn't forgive him. Not the way you think. I didn't wake up one day and decide to let go of the anger. I didn't have a moment of clarity where I understood what he did and why. I didn't find peace in the knowledge that he was sorry. But I let go. I let go because I was tired. I was tired of carrying something that wasn't mine to carry. I was tired of being angry at someone who didn't matter anymore. I was tired of being the person who was broken. I was tired of being the person who couldn't move on. I let go. And when I let go, I realized something. The person who broke me was not the person who saved me. I was the one who saved me. I was the one who built a life from nothing. I was the one who became someone. I was the one who let go. I am Victoria Bennett. I am 38 years old. I am the founder and CEO of Bennett Capital Partners. I own a farmhouse in Indiana that I restored with my own hands. I carry a key in my pocket that opens a door that should have been mine all along. And I am free. I am free of the man who broke me. I am free of the girl who believed she was nothing. I am free of the weight I carried for 15 years. I am free of the story I told myself about who I was and what I deserved. I am free because I chose to be. I am free because I built something that no one could take away. I am free because I am the person I decided to be. The farmhouse stands. The fields are planted. The garden grows. The legacy continues. Not because of my grandfather. Not because of Daniel. Not because of anyone else. Because of me. If you've ever been told you weren't enough, if you've ever been pushed aside because of who you are, if you've ever had to build something from nothing, I want you to know something. You are enough. You have always been enough. You were never the person they said you were. You don't have to forgive. You don't have to forget. You don't have to be the person who gives second chances. But you do have to be the person who shows up for yourself. Who fights for yourself. Who builds a life that is yours. And when the moment comes, when you have the chance to let go of the anger, the hurt, the weight of what was done to you, I hope you take it. Not because they deserve it. Because you do. Because you deserve to be free. My name is Victoria Bennett. I built something from nothing. I held the key. I came home. And I am enough. I have always been enough. And so are you.